What's up YouTube, Fallout Freak here, and in honor of me hitting 100 subscribers on my Fallout Freak channel just last week, I'm going to be introducing another playlist on my Fallout Freak channel, and that playlist is going to start with this video right now. And that playlist is going to be titled Fallout Quests. In Fallout Quests, I'm going to be talking about different main quests and how to walk through them, and different side quests as well as giving you some of my favorites. I was going to do my favorite side quest of all time to start with this one, but I figured that I already did a video on my favorite side quest, and if you want a hint as to what that one is, here's your hint. Come fly with me, let's fly away. There's your hint as to what my favorite Fallout side quest of all time is, but we're going to be starting with Fallout 4 in this video, and my favorite Fallout 4 side quest, not my favorite of all time, but my favorite Fallout 4 side quest of all time is the last voyage of the U.S.S. Constitution. And I will be talking about it right now. So without further ado, let's get started because this is a long read. Last Voyage of the U.S.S. Constitution is a side quest in Fallout 4. The sole survivor has been drafted by Ironsides to assist him and his robot crew in their quest to return the U.S.S. Constitution to the ocean. Detailed walkthrough. Upon approaching the U.S.S. Constitution, the sole survivor is greeted by Lookout, who tells them to meet with Captain Ironsides on the ship's main deck. Finishing this conversation starts the quest. Enter the bank building and turn north up the clutter ramp to the second floor and up the stairs to the third floor. Once there, turn south, head through a broken wall and to the ship's bow, and enter the ship through the hatch located there. Once inside, head up 2 sets of stairs and meet the first mate on the third deck, upon which a small conversation takes place. After this, the main deck can be entered through either of the hatches at the stairs behind the first mate. Speaking with Ironsides reveals that the captain requires assistance with repairing the ship's systems. Asking for a reward and passing the easy persuasion check allows the sole survivor to deduct a 100 cap upfront payment from the terminal called Ship's Purser, which is sitting on some crates at the north end of the main deck. They are then tasked to speak with both the bosun and Mr. Navigator about the repairs. As the conversation with Ironsides ends, the ship gets attacked by scavengers. They can be dealt with in any way possible. Firing the ship's cannons by flipping the circuit breaker on the starboard side is entirely optional. Note that hitting robot allies with stray fire may result in turning the entire crew hostile and therefore failing the quest. However, the cannons are safe to fire as they do not affect the robots. Repairing the ship's systems. Talk with the bosun, who is located on the third deck in front of the captain's quarters, and wants to have 3 power cables either repaired, requires intelligence 3+, or replaced with new power cables, which can be taken from a nearby metal box. The cables in need of fixing are stored in yellow utility boxes whose lid must be opened first. One is located on the third deck on the ground near the western ship hull. The other 2 can be found 1 deck below, one on the ground near the stairs to the first deck, and the second on the western ship wall. Once the cables are fixed, return to the bosun and receive the next task, which consists of fixing the power relays for the ship. This can be done by either repairing an eroded power relay coil, requires intelligence 5+, or by installing a replacement coil. The fuse box housing the relays is located at the western wall on the third deck. After power is restored, return to the bosun and receive praise by him. Next, find and speak with Mr. Navigator, who needs the ship's guidance chip retrieved from the scavenger's outpost, which is located a small trip west. Once there, talk with Mandy Styles, who tries to persuade the sole survivor to turn on Ironsides and his crew and instead plunder the ship with her and her scavengers. At this point, one can either side with Ironsides or with the scavengers, with different effects on the quest's progression. If helping Ironsides, the chip must be stolen from the scavengers camped during doing so turns the local scavengers hostile, even if the theft is undetected. If helping the scavengers, they give up the guidance chip for free while requesting that any repair parts for the ship are being brought to them first so that they can sabotage them. Regardless of which side was chosen, once the chip is acquired, return to the Constitution's main deck and install the guidance chip into the core guidance system at the bow. After doing so, Mr. Navigator appears for a short talk. One is then tasked with either repairing, requires intelligence 9 plus, the guidance radar, or retrieving the Poseidon radar transmitter and installing it afterwards. After the radar is repaired, speak again with Mr. Navigator and receive instructions to talk with Ironsides again. Ironsides then gives the player the key to his quarters as he requires them to retrieve and install the FLL3 turbo pump bearings there. They can be retrieved from a specific location, with known locations being the Corvega Assembly Plant, Fort Hagen, and the General Atomics Factory. With the bearings in their possession, the sole survivor must now decide if they side with Ironsides or the scavengers. Siding with Ironsides. Upon retrieving the bearings, head back to the U.S.S. Constitution and install them at the turbo pump and the captain's quarters on the second deck. Head back to the main deck and speak with Ironsides. After doing so, another wave of scavengers attacks the ship, later even making their way through the lower decks. If they reach the main deck, the quest fails. After eliminating them, turn to Ironsides, who awards the broadsider and asks the player character to complete a final task of firing up the auxiliary power to launch the ship. Head down to the street and enter the second building on the southern side of the road. Head to the attic, open the lid, flip the circuit breaker, and watch the ship take off and subsequently crash into a skyscraper in the distance. Afterwards, head over to Faneuil Hall, find the tower to the north into which the ship has crashed, and use 2 elevators in the tower to access the ship. Speaking with Ironsides will award the lieutenant's hat and conclude the quest. Siding with the scavengers. Once the FLL3 turbopump bearings are retrieved, take them to Mandy instead of Ironsides, where Davies will sabotage them so that the ship will explode when the rockets are fired up. Then install the sabotaged turbopump bearings in the captain's quarters on the second deck and talk to Ironsides again. Go ahead and agree to turn on the auxiliary power, head down to the street, and enter the second building on the southern side of the road, where the player can optionally meet with Mandy, but she only tells them to start up the power. Head to the attic, open the lid, flip the circuit breaker, and watch the ship's rocket fail, as it remains landlocked. Ironsides and his crew turn hostile, and all that is left to do is to storm the ship with the scavengers and defeat all the robots. Meet up with Mandy after claiming the ship. She has relocated to the nearby Cabot house. She reveals that the scavengers held a vote and are not going to split the cut, and instead decide to kill the sole survivor. As there is no way to resolve the situation peacefully, the 2 scavengers, as well as Mandy and Davies, need to die in order to complete the quest. So that is a little bit, or a lot of it I should say, about the last voyage of the U.S.S. Constitution side quest. So I'm going to get on the U.S.S. Constitution page and give you a line that Captain Ironsides says in the game, and he's robot, so it's going to sound like a machine. So here we go. Alright, volume's all the way up. Alright, here we go.
This is the pride of our Navy, the U.S.S. Constitution. As her commander, it is my privilege to enforce a certain measure of decorum amongst my crew.
Not a bad choice, Captain Ironsides. Good for you. Now I'm going to go to my desktop and show you a picture of what the ship looks like, the USS Constitution. This is the USS Constitution, looks not very big, but trust me, once you get on the ship itself, it's actually really big. And on the inside, around here, is very spacious, more spacious than you may think. But yeah, like I said, doesn't look that big, but it's very big once you're up on the ship actually. And that is the USS Constitution, and that is my very first Fallout side quest on my Fallout Freak channel. So hit me up in the description below and let me know what you thought about this video and what side quests and main quests. I'm going to be doing main quests as well on my Fallout quests playlist. And let me know what some of your favorite side quests, main quests, and what you want to see me talk about, some side quests and main quests. Because I'm really going to enjoy this playlist because it feels like I'm actually going through it. But until my next Fallout side quest video, you must always remember that war never changes.